Welcome to the Weather Guru Live podcast for August 3rd, 2024. We're currently talking about Tropical Storm Debby, officially a tropical storm here as of the 8 p.m. advisory here. Tropical Storm Debby is located just to the north of Cuba, just emerged into the Florida Straits with winds of 40 miles an hour. Pressure is down to 1,005 millibars and is moving at a pretty quick pace northwest at 14 miles an hour. Now it's on this pace. It's on a rendezvous somewhere with the Florida Panhandle and the Big Bend sometime on Monday. We're making a landfall, and it's possible that this could become a hurricane given the conditions that we're in now. So we're going to look at all of that. But latest here, as of the intermediate advisory, is that 40 mile an hour winds, 1,005 millibar pressure, and it is continuing to get better organized here. As on satellite loop here, you can see we also have some storms in the eastern Pacific. We'll get to those later, but right now Debby is the main ticket in town. It is a tropical storm with 40 mile an hour winds, and so far the organization, as it emerges off the northwestern Cuba coast now, as most of the storms are blown displaced to the northeast of the convection. The northeast, most of the convection is convected off of the northeast of the storm center, and that has led to numerous rainfall showers in southern Florida from Cape Coral, Fort Myers, down to Naples and Marco Island, over towards Miami and Fort Lauderdale, also receiving some of those outer bands of showers, as you can see. But the Keys have been getting some substantial tropical storm force winds, as reported of the latest 4 hours. Now, and also southern Cuba is still feeling some of those convective bands. Now, as it emerges into the Gulf, it is expected to continue on, and this is going to lead to heavy rainfall. Right now, it's a rainmaker, but it's possible this can get up to a Category 1 or borderline Category 2 storm before landfall here. Rates are going to be in the Big Bend areas, anywhere from Cedar Key back towards Apalachicola. You're looking at rainfall rates anywhere in the order of 4 to 6 inches, possibly some locally places of 8 inches here as it gets along the coast. So if you're in Savannah, Brunswick, Jessup, up toward Charleston, and Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Charleston, North Charleston, and some of the low country areas here, Beaufort, you want to be prepared, Ridgeland, because you want to be prepared because this system is prepared to loop around here, and this is going to lead to 12 inches of rain in the low country and in the sea islands of Georgia, and also in southern Georgia and northern Florida. This could be a huge rainmaker for you guys, so you want to be prepared for that more so than the winds. However, this is forecasted to become a hurricane before landfall, and as I say, right now it looks weak. The sea surface temperatures are running around 30 to 32 degrees, 29 to 30 degrees Celsius, and that pink and bright spots, pinks right off the coast of Florida there. And this water is shallow, ladies and gentlemen. This water here is shallow shelf where it will be making landfall, it's a shallow shelf here. And so that means that a shallow continental shelf right in here in this Big Bend area, Cedar Key, all the way through Apalachicola, with that curve, the Big Bend curve of Florida. And that's going to allow for storm surge impacts anywhere on the order of 3 to 6 feet of storm surge is going to be coming in here, or possibly higher, depending on how strong this is, how strong the system is, the hurricane is. It could be a borderline hurricane coming in on Monday afternoon with 75 mile an hour winds, or it could be a Cat 2 hurricane with 95 or 100 miles an hour winds coming in to the Big Bend area. Now, this would put places like Tallahassee and Panama City on the western dirty side, on the weaker side of this system, but those areas along I-10, such as Lake City, heading towards Jacksonville, you'll be on the eastern side, the heavy front-loaded side of this rain event here. So you want to get prepared. All interests to get prepared along that I-10 corridor from Lake City, Jacksonville, back towards some of the counties here, Madison County, and up in southern Georgia from Valdosta over towards Jessup along 84 there, heading toward Brunswick, Savannah, Ridgeland, Hardyville, Charleston, North Myrtle Beach. You want to get prepared because this is going to do a loop around. As you can see later on this week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, it's going to kind of hang and meander around here, providing up that rainfall up to 10 inches possible for Georgia, South Carolina, and even in the North Carolina, Wilmington, and up to Fayetteville, and those areas north there, you want to be prepared too as well later on in the week. But our main concern is Florida. We have tropical storm warnings extended all the way from Cedar Key through Tampa Bay, the mouth of Tampa Bay, down through Sarasota, Fort Myers, Bradenton, Naples, Sanibel Island, Cape Coral, Marco Island. They're under a tropical storm warning. Hurricane warnings have now been extended for this system here. We're going to take a look at this now. Like I said, this thing is forecast to become a hurricane. Give could become a Category 2 hurricane depending on how things go. So this is what they have forecasted here from the Hurricane Center to become a minimal Category 1 storm. I think it's possible that it could become a Category 2 storm due to the warm sea surface temperatures and less of a wind shear, but there is dry air that's entrained in that eastern Gulf, so you have to watch that. Right now it's 100 miles west-southwest of Key West, Florida. Key West is observing some squally weather, some tropical storm gusts right now at the airport. And it's 270 miles south of Tampa, Florida. Max sustained winds of 40 miles an hour. Once again, the hurricane warning is in effect from the Swanee River to the Occoquan River in Florida. That's a hurricane warning in effect. Hurricane conditions are possible somewhere in 36 hours as those conditions continue. Now, Debby, the tropical storm force winds with Debby extend out 140 miles to the east of the center. That's very critical. It's to the east side. This is a very east side loaded system. I was showing you that here on the radar here on the picture here. You can see that this system is very east side loaded. So it's possible that most of the rainfall will already get to you before the center gets to you here. And that's why I was saying once again, these tropical storm force winds, I'm going to go back to the graphic here. It extends to the east here. And so that means areas from on I-10 along from Lake City, Jacksonville, Gainesville, Valdosta, Lake Park, Jessup, Brunswick, all these areas up in here are going to get a lot of rain, and that's why the rainfall potential is showing you here that this is going to have this area is going to be the bullseye here as it comes across. There was a similar system that did this last year that came across. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, the rainfall event is going to be heavier. We can get between 8 to 12 inches right along the coast here, that 95 corridor, Brunswick, Jessup, Savannah, Charleston, North Myrtle Beach, Ridgeland, Hardeeville, Beaufort, Paris Island, all these areas are going to be inundated with heavy rain. It's already raining. And then if you're in this orange shaded area, you're still looking at 8 inches of rain. So anybody from Lake City, Gainesville, Madison County, Jacksonville, you're still in that northern suburbs of Jacksonville, heading toward the state line, Amelia Island, all those areas are going to get inundated with rain. Even if you're in the yellow ranges, you're still going to get 4 to 6 inches of rain down 75. So Gainesville, Ocala, Wildwood, even in Orlando, you look to get 2 to 4 inches, but not as much because it's the east side loaded system, but it's more so the northeast quadrant that's going to produce a lot of this rainfall here with this system. And so with this, it's anticipated to slow down as well as it makes landfall sometime Monday afternoon. At least right now, it's going to cut across the peninsula, the northern panhandle of Florida, and it's supposed to slow down and make a loop-de-loop, and that's where you get this heavy rain in through this area here in red, this bullseye between 12 to 16 inches possible here for somebody along the low country of South Carolina or the Sea Islands of Georgia here, and then a little bit inland there. So be very careful. That's later on. I'm going to show you the timeline once again here. This is going to be Tropical Storm Debby. It's forecast to become a hurricane. It could become a Category 2 hurricane just before landfall, though. As you can see, there's very warm waters off the coast of Florida. Warm waters, 29 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius. That's just enough fuel. It's just a question of the saving grace would be if there's a lot of dry air and if there's wind shear affecting it as it leaves Sunday afternoon and makes its approach into the Big Bend here sometime early Monday morning, Monday afternoon. That's going to be the big question mark. You can see in yellow here, the tropical storm force winds are affecting the lower keys. So if you're in Key West, heading toward Marathon, possibly some of the lower keys there, from Key West to Marathon, Alamaralda, you may be experiencing a little bit of tropical storm force gust there as that yellow wind field. It's all eastern loaded here. That yellow shows you the tropical storm force winds are to the east and to the south, but nothing along the west side. So the dry air is already entrained in the system here. As you can see out here, you see these gaps out here with the system. That's because the dry air is already affecting it here, and you can see it right there on satellite perfectly. You can see most of the east side loaded, northeast side loaded to the convection here. Now Miami and the northern Keys and Fort Lauderdale, even West Palm Beach, you are getting some of the outer feeder bands right now, but no tropical storm force gusts reported. Just winds below tropical storm force winds, maybe 20-25 miles an hour, and some heavy rain, and then they clear up and then they get cloudy and heavy rain again. Typical feeder band behavior right now, but this is going to change tomorrow once it gets better organizing and it gets the heating of the day here, and Debby will continue to make its way. The movement right now is northwest at 14 miles an hour. This will continue. It will be because it's being steered by the Bermuda High. This is not going to be a system that's going to slow down, and the Bermuda High is pulsing back and forth over the peninsula of Florida like this, from west to east, and that's why there's some uncertainty on the track after Monday and Tuesday. Will the Bermuda High retreat more to the east, or will it bounce back to the west? It's been oscillating back and forth, and that's what the models are picking up on, the GFS, the Euro, etc. And so that's why there's more uncertainty in the Hurricane Center's forecast as we go out in time, say Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday, but it is going to make this sort of loop-de-loop here and kind of stall out. And the models suggest it may even stall out here on somewhere along the coast here, paralleling Savannah, Ridgeland, South Carolina, Charleston, Jessup, and that's where we're going to get that heavy rainfall there as it weakens to a tropical storm, and it continues to just pummel the coast there with that rain. So that's what we're more concerned about, is the flash flooding event here. As you can see, and the Hurricane Center has done well. They've already issued the flash flooding risk here in red, at least a 40% chance for Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Savannah, Brunswick, even some of the inland areas here, Valdosta, Lake Park, all the way up to close to south of Macon. So Cordele along the I-75 corridor, even Albany, maybe possibly getting some flooding, but Charleston, North Myrtle Beach, all these areas, Conway, all these areas down here are definitely going to be in the bullseye for 40% chance of flash flooding. So you want to be prepared for that. If you're in the low-lying area, start getting your sandbags ready, start getting things ready, because this is where it's going to be the impact area here across these three states here, Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. So you want to keep that in mind. Like I said, these warm sea surface temperatures are not going anywhere, and this is what's fueling Debby, and it could become a Category 2 just before landfall. Right now, it's forecast to become a Category 1, some winds somewhere between 75 and 80 miles an hour, but if conditions are favorable, it will be a rapid intensification to a Category 2 just before a landfall, a minimal Category 2, nothing crazy, but it is possible because the system will be better organized than what it is right now, and it's trying to pull away from Cuba tonight and make that, and then the Florida Straits and the Keys, and it'll make its way. The center is somewhere in here, in this glob right here, and it will continue to push northwest at 14 miles an hour as it makes its way, and it's expected to get stronger somewhere as it parallels Tampa, somewhere to about maybe 150 to 200 miles west, directly west of Tampa, and that's when it'll get that warm pocket of water, and it's supposed to accelerate and make that turn there. So we'll see. But another thing to watch out for too is, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's possible that this track could shift a little bit more to the west. If it's feeling more, like I said, that high pressure's been oscillating west to east like that. The Bermuda high that's steering this thing has been oscillating. So if the high pressure oscillates a little bit more to the west, that means that the hurricane's going to take the path. The tropical storm Debby is going to take the path of least resistance. It will continue to go more on the western side of this curve, and so I would not rule out Apalachicola out of this thing either. Apalachicola up towards Tallahassee, places like that, sort of like what Hurricane Hermine did to Tallahassee a couple years ago, at the Big Bend region a couple years ago when they had that storm. So be on your guard, because this path could shift westward tomorrow afternoon, depending on, it could take more of the western part of this cone, depending on how this high pressure, Bermuda high, as it keeps oscillating from west to east, and so that's one thing to look out to as well. As far as the peak surge, like I said, once again, we're looking at 4 to 7 feet of surge. Now, if it comes to Category 2, you could probably bump that up a couple of feet, so you're looking at about 9 feet of surge. But overall, you're looking at a maximum of up to 7 feet of surge from Osceola River down to Yankeetown, and that's that area, like I said, with that shallow continental shelf, and that water's going to come in really fast. So have a plan, even regardless of where it makes actual landfall up, because you're going to have a water level rise all along the west coast of Florida here. Even Tampa Bay is getting a 2 to 4 foot water level rise, which is nothing crazy for Tampa Bay. You've seen that before, but it's just that, you want to be prepared, because certain areas like South Tampa floods a lot, and things like that. You want to be prepared for that, ladies and gentlemen, as it comes past you sometime tomorrow. Parallels you, and then comes past you sometime late tomorrow into Monday morning. Just be prepared for that. Now, wind speed probabilities, as you can see, obviously tropical storm force winds are going to be in that Big Bend area. There's 80%, 96% chance east of Apalachicola, Cedar Key, that you're going to experience those tropical Horseshoe Beach, Florida, those areas in that Big Bend curve. You're going to experience those tropical storm force winds starting on Monday afternoon, and that'll be ramping up the hurricane force for some people. So the key messages that everybody wants to get across is that the heavy rainfall, this is going to be a rainmaker majority for the Big Bend, the eastern Big Bend of Florida, southern Georgia, and the low country of South Carolina, where you can get 12 inches of rain easily out of this thing, because there's a chance that it's gonna stall out later on as it weakens, as it comes inland on sometime late Monday afternoon, and then it's gonna weaken, but rain is gonna be just heavy on that east side loaded, and there's gonna be a sharp gradient there of cutoff there for the rainfall. So tropical storm conditions through Monday further south within the tropical storm warning conditions here, and that's what we're gonna be expected here for the system here. And so Debby is gonna leave its mark as a rainmaker, and possibly a wind maker. But I'm just taking a look at the wind history here. I want to show you once again the lower keys, anywhere from Key West, Dry Tortugas, Marathon, Alameralda, you guys are getting tropical storm force gust right now. That'll subside tonight, late tonight, possibly after 4 a.m. And it says the system pulls north, further north, paralleling the Florida coast here, some 200 miles offshore, so 250 miles offshore, nautical miles. And then Tampa Bay, you'll get the worst of it, of the surge anyway, as it pulls further north to you at late Sunday afternoon, as that surge pushes into the bay like that from the southwest. Once the system has passed you parallel and you push in that direction to southwest, so that'll be the worst of your surge, 2 to 4 feet for you guys. Late Sunday after evening, say about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. That'll be the worst of the surge of Tampa Bay. And then our focus concentrates on from those from Spring Hill, Florida, up through Horseshoe Beach, Cedar Key, Apalachicola, those areas like that. That's where the bullseye is, and that's where the hurricane warning is issued appropriately by the National Hurricane Center. And like I said, don't be surprised if this track shifts a little bit further west come the 11 p.m. advisory, the next full advisory at 11 p.m., and the next intermediate advisory that we get later on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If this track shifts further west, I won't be surprised, because the high pressure, the Bermuda high that's steering this thing, is oscillating between west and east and going back and forth. And so that puts Apalachicola and possibly Panama City Beach into play, and Tallahassee and more the western Big Bend into play. But the good news for us, ladies and gentlemen, is that this thing is experiencing dry air on the western side. So even though the sea surface temperatures are crazy warm out there, it's experiencing dry air, and a little bit of shear is coming in as well over the top of this system as well. So that's the two things we have going for it. But right now it's forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane, 75-mile-an-hour winds, and it's possible that some models are showing Category 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does make just borderline Category 2, kind of like what Beryl did. So it could have winds around 96 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, or something like that, before it actually makes landfall. But that'll all depend on if it slows down. If this track slows down, possibly sometime early Monday morning before just making that landfall sometime Monday afternoon. If it slows down, then yes, it'll have a chance to make a Cat 2. If it don't, then it'll be forecast, like the Hurricane Center says, to be a Cat 1. With winds around 80 miles an hour or something like that, with how much higher gust as it comes in, quickly weakening to a tropical storm. But in any event, I will prepare for rain, and that's where the bullseye is going to be. So if you're in Gainesville, Jacksonville, Lake City, east of Tallahassee, about 50 miles east of Tallahassee, like Madison County, those counties in southern Georgia, Valdosta, Tifton, Adel, Jessup, Savannah, Charleston, North Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Beaufort, Paris Island, Kiwa Island, all these places need, Hilton Head Island, all these places need to prepare for 8 to 12 inches of rain easily, because the system is east side loaded. As you can see, the winds are east side loaded, and all the rain is east side loaded here. And so that means that this has a chance for training. Some of these feeder bands are going to be training, meaning they're going to be running over the same areas over and over again, dumping heavy amounts of rain, 8 to 12 inches in those huge inches or more. And then, of course, in the bullseye in Florida, you can get 4 to 6 inches, or 4 to 7 inches, from Jacksonville, Gainesville, Lake City, Valdosta, Lake Park, Jessup, Savannah, Brunswick, and then the Sea Islands of Georgia and South Carolina. That's what we're looking at. That's where the bullseye is going to be. And as it does this loop-de-loop, it's going to continue to train and provide. So this is going to be a rainmaker. Debby will be a rainmaker, and that's going to be its legacy, we think, right now. And then, of course, the winds will die down. We pray that there won't be much damage. We pray that there won't be much loss of life, and that people will heed the warnings, especially if you're on the coast, because this is going to hit the shallowest part of the Big Bend right here, that shallow continental shelf. And the storm surge, like I already said there for those just joining me, the peak surge 4 to 7 feet. It could be higher if it's a Category 2, up to 9 feet, possibly, if it gets to Category 2, if it experiences rapid intensification. Right now, I have the rapid intensification chances at around 45%. It's lower because, like I said, there's dry air and wind shear out there in the eastern Gulf. So even though the sea surface temperatures are warm, it may not be able to take advantage of that. And secondly, Debby's structure right now is not all that impressive. And so it will, and we'll see how it looks tomorrow when they get the heating of the day. So that may help its structure to improve. It all depends on how the structure is, the inflow, the outflow, and that thing's around the center. And right now, the core is looking very messy right now. And so that's not going to help it to rapidly intensify. But who knows? Like I said, it could possibly do that. And let's look at the discussion here. It has become better organized according to the National Hurricane Center. It's becoming better defined, as you can see. But it's going to take time for the center to get really, the core of this thing to get really, really good. And it should be really, really stronger, possibly by sometime Sunday afternoon. That's when it's going to be, as it pulls away from this land action of Cuba, and it pulls away from the Keys. Keys and gets more up towards parallel in the Tampa Bay area, and that's when the strengthening is going to be occurring throughout the day to tomorrow and into Monday, when it's forecast to make landfall. So out here we do have Carlota still spinning out here as a tropical storm. Carlota looks very impressive, but it's not going to be a land saver. We have two other impressive tropical waves that could become our next named storms here out in the eastern Pacific, and then out west we have a few tropical waves out here. That one that's coming closer to a few hundred miles east of Barbados that could become something, but nothing has been developing so far. Some showers are fizzled out here, and then we have, of course, a few showers impacting Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, but nothing else. Of a big upper level low spinning to the southeast of Bermuda, providing some showers there to Bermuda, but nothing is coming up out of that as well. So that's what we have going on area wide the tropics. Once again, Tropical Storm Debby continues. For those that's joining us, is going to be forecasted to become a Category 1 hurricane affecting the Big Bend area, making landfall somewhere between Apalachicola, Cedar Key, in the shallow part of the Big Bend as a hurricane Category 1 with winds between 75 and 80 miles an hour. All of that could change, though, depending on how the structure of the storm develops Sunday afternoon. Right now, winds are at 40 miles an hour. Pressure is 1,005 millibars. It's getting better organized. It's moving northwest at 14 miles an hour. It's a moderate clip. It's a fast-moving storm. And this will continue this motion throughout tonight and into tomorrow morning. And once again, this is going to be a rainmaker. So if you're in those areas, the rainfall potential is very heavy here. If you're coming up I-95, once again on Monday afternoon through Tuesday, if you're coming up through Jacksonville, Savannah, Brunswick, Charleston, the Sea Islands, Beaufort, Conway, North Charleston, all those areas, Ridgeland, Hardyville, all those areas, even in inland towards Jessup and I-75 corridor, Adel, Tifton, Moultrie, those areas towards coastal Tallahassee as well. You want to be careful because there could be 4 to 6 inches easily along the I-10 corridor, 4 to 8 inches, and then possibly some isolated pockets of 12 inches or more, because it's going to be training as the system continues to pour rain over and over and stalls out in this area right between Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. And it's east side loaded, so all the rain is going to be a sharp gradient. If you're 50 miles or 60 miles west of Tallahassee, say like in Mariana up I-10, Chipley and all those areas, you only get less than barely an inch. It's a sharp gradient right now because the system is cut off by dry air and the high pressure influence, and so there's a sharp gradient from west to east of who gets the majority of the rainfall, and that's depicted perfectly on this map here by the National Hurricane Center for day 1 through 5. And so once again, Debby is forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane and maybe possibly Category 2. Right now, I place rapid intensification chances at 45%. It's not high because there's a lot of moderate wind shear and also dry air that's affecting the western side of the system. As you can see, structurally, the system here is become better organized, but not so much organized where it's ready to take advantage of the rapid intensification. The best chance will be Sunday, late Sunday night into Monday morning for rapid intensification if it were to occur. If not, then we're definitely just going to have a Category 1 storm here coming into the Big Bend area here, as depicted by the National Hurricane Center. Once again, sea surface temperatures are high. It's above 31 above 30 degrees Celsius here in pink, all along the Florida, Louisiana, and eastern Bahamas coastline here. So it's perfect environment in terms of that. We have the moisture, but we just need the structure. We need the internal organization to get a little bit better, more defined there around the center, cold center circulation. And we also need the wind shear to relax just a little bit more for the system to intensify, possibly to a Category 2. And so this has been the update for you tonight. Thank you for joining me on this Hurricane Debby, Tropical Storm Debby update. I look forward to seeing you more on the next update, and we'll talk to you more later on. Have a blessed day. Thank you for joining me.